I was a young man, I felt like there was no point in voting, that no matter what I did, it wouldn't make a difference. Eventually, I came to a realization. I realized that as long as I didn't vote, I couldn't make any difference. I also realized that certain people in our country and outside of our country as well don't want us to vote. They want us to feel disenfranchised. They want us to feel there's no point in voting. So, yeah, it's things have been designed deliberately to make all of you and me give up on voting because we just feel like it's all rigged. And to in a sense, it is kind of true because for a long time now, the rich have donated to both Democrats and Republicans so that they control both parties. Now, I'm not saying that the Democratic rich vote give money only to the Democratic candidates and the Republicans do likewise with the Republican candidates. I mean, literally, like the Koch brothers and Trump himself, and he has admitted to doing this, they give to both sides because they want to be able to influence whoever the winner is, no matter what. And we talk about having a two-party system. We don't actually have a two-party system, although it has been somewhat rigged to make it very, very difficult for other parties to actually break through. There are laws in place that keep people off the ballot. There are laws in place that make it very hard for a party to be recognized in any state or in certain states. But there are other parties. The Libertarian Party, which is basically just a Republican Party, or the Green Party, which is very focused on the environment. And Ralph Nader used to present himself, and he would always then withdraw and tell his voters to vote for so and so. And or maybe he wasn't green, I forget. But anyways, then there is currently the Green Party is candidate is Jill Stein, and I think she's a really strong candidate. And then there's the Tea Party, which is just another faction of the Republicans. And then there are socialists and communists and this and that. There are lots of different choices. However, for as far back as I can remember, the strategy has always been, and I experienced this with a good friend of mine at work yesterday, is that you should vote for the lesser of two evils. Now, I don't personally believe in this. And the reason I don't believe in it is because as long as we vote for the lesser of two evils, we're still voting for evil. So if you go to hell and Lucifer says, you can choose me or Baal or Mephistopheles or Moloch or Beelzebub or any of these other major demons, I'll let you choose one of us to be the demon that tortures you for all of eternity. Which one do you want? It doesn't matter. They're all demons. It's all going to be horrible. Doesn't matter which one you choose. So I'm not claiming that Trump and Harris are evil necessarily, although I have some very strong feelings about one of them. But I am saying that as long as we continue to subscribe to the belief that we should vote for the lesser of two evils, the other candidate that we may actually want will never, never win. They will always be relegated to this tiny slice of votes from those people who already understand what I understand, that we are robbing America of the opportunity to have a fresh outlook on how the government, the executive branch at the very least, should be run. Now, currently, we have a government that has been basically taken over. And why do I say that? Well, we have a Supreme Court that has been stacked to the point that laws have been passed or broken that violate the long-standing guidelines of the Supreme Court. And we have members of the Supreme Court who should be convicted, but the Republican side is protecting them. The Democrats keep calling for Clarence Thomas to be brought up on charges. The Republicans shoot it down. The Democrats keep calling for Alito to be put up on charges. The Republicans shoot it down. Chief Justice Roberts is very clearly a conservative. He tries very, very hard to make himself look neutral, but he is not neutral. And he will most always vote one way. Being a justice on the Supreme Court is not supposed to be about what party or your personal beliefs. It is supposed to be about what the Constitution says, what the Bill of Amendments says, the Bill of Rights, sorry, the Constitution with amendments and the Bill of Rights. It's supposed to be about those things, not about, well, I want to fly the January 6th flag at home, and I want America to be a Christian state, or I want America to be a secular state. These things have already been decided. The personal opinion of a justice on those matters is totally irrelevant, and if they cannot keep that separate, they should not be on the Supreme Court. Now, unfortunately, again, the two branches of the government have been co-opted. The Republicans have co-opted to the Congress to the point that it's very hard for anything to get done that would actually move things forward. And one of the times that the Republicans and Democrats actually agreed and were going to pass a bill on the wall under the Biden administration, Trump said, no, don't pass it. Don't pass it. And so the Republicans killed the bill that they actually wanted because Trump wanted that victory for himself. He didn't want the Republicans and Democrats to unite on that, even though it's been a campaign for him. Why? Because he keeps telling lies about immigration, about what immigrants are doing, about supposedly Haitians are eating dogs and cats. There is no evidence. Anyways, so I believe everyone should vote on the person or for the person that they believe is the best candidate. Not the candidate who's going to turn America into an Islamic state or a Christian state, but because we are already a secular nation. Not the candidate who is promising to get rid of voting in the future or anything like that. I believe we should vote for the candidate who, in our heart, we truly feel is, out of all the candidates, the one that will move our country forward and out of our imperialist tendencies. Not our imperialist tendencies, but the government's imperialist tendencies. So, now, I watched the debate yesterday. I didn't watch it the night of. I watched it yesterday morning. And I have to say, this was an opportunity for both Trump and Biden to swing lots of people over to them. Not really a chance for Harris. Not really a chance for Harris to steal votes from Trump or Trump to steal votes from Harris, but to get the people who are undecided, the people who are sitting there having given up, feeling disenfranchised like I used to. That should have been what they were focusing on. Should have been. What I actually saw was a damning performance on the part of Trump. Much the same as with Biden. Instead of answering questions from the moderators, he kept on trying to attack Harris. He kept on trying to rebut Harris's statements. He kept on trying to make her look bad, which is what he's done this entire election cycle. He failed to do anything other than to make himself look petty, to demonstrate just how bad his inferiority complex is, just how fragile his ego is. Harris played to the almost the exact same playbook as Biden. She baited Trump over and over and over. And Trump, rather than demonstrating maturity, rather than demonstrating that he has a thick skin and can survive and thrive and not be manipulated in the political sphere by other members of the American political system and by politicians from other countries, Trump did this thing where he showed he's got a thin skin and that anybody can manipulate him. I'm just mimicking Trump's very odd movements. I'm an armchair philosopher. I'm an armchair psychologist. I'm not a professional, okay? But I have been very interested in philosophy, psychology, and other subjects for many, many years now. And I see in Trump some very disturbing characteristics. And some of those characteristics came out during the debate. Now, granted, I did see some things on the face of Harris where she very clearly was expressing, I don't know if the word is contempt or it was a dismissal, but she would have this smile on her face and she would be listening to him and she'd be shaking her head and very clearly feeling like he's talking nonsense. And Trump, he had his pouting lips on sometimes, and he had this look of disdain on his face, which is a very bad thing to have on your face during a debate. Now, Trump has not really made much effort in the past 8 years, 9 years, to hide his contempt for his competitors. He has shown contempt and disdain, disrespect many, many times. But every time she baited him, and a few times when he baited her, he rose up and took the bait. You can't be in politics and be so sensitive to that kind of manipulation. Trump is very good at gaslighting. He's very good at manipulating. He's a clever man. I don't think he's stupid. But I used to be very thin-skinned and very easy to upset. And my reasons for that are clearly not the same reasons as Donald's. But Donald, he cannot function as a national leader if he goes in front of an adversary like Putin or Erdogan or whatever his name is, or Xi or Kim or any other leader for that matter, because any decent, properly trained and educated politician will see, here is a weak man. Here is a man I can take advantage of. Sure, he's unstable and dangerous, but he's dangerous because he's unstable. He's dangerous because he's willing to flip flop any way that he wants to continue to gaslight his followers. He is the leader of, or was the leader of the executive branch. And these clever men and women can see this about him. They can see that they can use flattery because he's got an inferiority complex. They can see that they can't use threats because he will puff up. They can see that they can manipulate Trump. And they do. And he has made it very clear that he has a lot of respect for and wants to emulate dictators. And this is very concerning. But let me switch to Harris for a little while. She slaughtered him. I mean, granted, she made some mistakes. She said some things that were not factual. For example, she said a few officers, I believe it was, were killed during the insurrection attempt. No, there were no officers who were killed. There was a woman, one of the insurrectionists, who was coming through a window of the building and was shot in the left shoulder and later died of her wounds. There were other people who were injured and later died. There were officers who subsequently, on at a later date, committed suicide. There was one officer who was pepper sprayed by an insurrectionist, and the next day had 2 strokes and died. But nobody died as far as the law of the authorities were concerned during the attempted insurrection. Nobody from that camp. So that was a really big mistake by him. I mean, maybe not a big mistake, but it was wrong. But and she said one other thing, I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but she said it was something else that was not correct also. But most of the things that she said were accurate. And I did some fact checking of my own. I used the Associated Press's information. I used information from the government itself and other sources to try and figure out whether anything that they were saying, both of them, was not accurate. And what I learned is this. When Obama took over from his predecessor, things were going like this. And Obama made it go, for the most part, like this. When Trump took over from Obama, things were already going in an upward slope, and it just continued to go up with Trump for the most part. I also learned, based on information from various facts, that the figures that are attributed to how much Trump improved things versus how much Biden messed things up were not true. They were exaggerated to make Trump look good. They were exaggerated to make Biden look bad. And in some ways, Biden did great. And overall, Biden has done, and I'm not a Biden fan, I don't trust him, but overall, Biden has done a very good job. And I have looked for information about how scholars view the presidents. And what I've discovered is that even amongst conservatives, Trump doesn't get very good marks. And so when I listened to Harris, almost everything she said was accurate, or at least within the realm of margin of error. Whereas almost everything Trump said was a distortion or an outright lie. The same things he said the entire election cycle. He just kept on doubling down on things that were not true, which just further convinced anybody who was voting for Harris to stay with Harris. He made no headway, as far as I can tell, with people who were on the fence. In fact, he did damage to himself because he demonstrated his lack of maturity during a debate. He demonstrated his lack of having plans. Because as with the debate with Biden, many of the times that Harris was asked a question, she answered the question. Many times that Trump was asked a question, he dodged, or even on occasion admitted he didn't have a plan. He had a concept of a plan. That's not a plan. He didn't elaborate on that concept. And that's okay. I mean, not having a plan as an individual, because the presidency should depend very heavily on experts, because no one person can be so knowledgeable and expert in so many areas that they have all the answers. Not Trump, not Harris, not Biden, not George Washington, not Thomas Jefferson. None of them were this exemplar of the perfect president. But let's talk about for a second their backgrounds. Harris has decades in law, as a lawyer, as an attorney, district attorney, and as a member of the legislative body, and then as a VP. Trump has no experience in law. He has 4 years as a president. That's it. He keeps on, and the Republicans keep on harping on how little experience she has when it is actually Trump. So he's trying to redirect attention away from his lack of experience in this political sphere and claim that she doesn't have experience when she very clearly does. Harris made very few mistakes, I think, whereas Biden was having memory problems and couldn't stay focused on a topic sometimes. He was still able to bait Trump. And occasionally he took Trump's bait. But Harris did so much better than Biden. I mean, granted, she's like, 10 years younger? Something like that than Biden. So she should be able to do better, theoretically. Trump, it was a massacre. He walked right into an entire line of machine guns and was turned into hamburger. He failed. This is a person who's going to be our next president, and he can't handle a single debate. And there are instances where he is being questioned by reporters, and he doesn't like what he's hearing. So instead of addressing it, he gets upset with the person, and he'll ban them from future news conferences, or he will denigrate them on camera, or he will get a little pouty lip and he'll start walking away from the stage. Now, Biden has done something similar where he walks away after he's done speaking. But he doesn't have a pouty look, and he doesn't behave childishly. He just forgets things. And Harris, she doesn't do that either. Trump lacks the maturity because he has psychological faults that are significant that disqualify him as a valid candidate. I really am amazed that people can't see this, but he has built a cult of personality. He is like Kim in North Korea and these other dictators who are force the populace to worship them. He has, and I have a hard time on a personal level understanding how this is even possible. But on a psychological level, I know exactly what he's been doing. But in this debate, he totally lost sight of his goals. He totally lost the opportunity to swing people over to his side and to demonstrate that he has what it takes to lead this nation, to unify this nation. Not at all. He has been instrumental, along with some of the Republicans, in dividing this nation even further than what was started by George W. Bush, who was very divisive. He has, and other politicians have, taken our nation and divided us up along lines of religion, along lines of race and ethnicity, along lines of naturalized and natural citizens, along all sorts of fracture lines. He has taken and split us up. And then he denies that he's done that. He has played to the fears of the people that vote for him. He's taken all the tricks that are used by salespeople, hopes and fears, and used them against the people who are voting for him. And it's sad, because so many good people, honest people, kind people, are being riled up and turned into these very unpleasant people. People in my own family, friends, it's like you can't even talk to them because they're like, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to see it, I don't want to talk about it. They get upset as soon as you say anything. And I think it's because on a subconscious level, they are aware of what's going on, but on a conscious level, they are not aware, and therefore they have to protect themselves from being made aware. And that's sad. Harris, you did a great job. Trump, you fell on your face. There was a part of me that actually hoped Trump would do a good job. And he didn't. I believe that if we rank or rate their performance, Trump, I can't even give him any points because I can't think of anything during the debate where he actually demonstrated the maturity and knowledge necessary to be a leader of the country. I can't say that Harris got all the points. There are points left on the table, but she got a lot of points. And Fox, you guys are... I look at when you guys are criticizing Harris, and you're embarrassing yourselves. You keep on talking about, oh, Harris hasn't done any interviews. Harris has only done 6 interviews. Trump has done 39 or whatever it is. Harris just got on the campaign trail. She has to catch up on the months and months of effort made by Trump. And she did. Within just a short time, she was neck and neck with Trump. And all you guys can say, oh, she hasn't done as many interviews as Trump. Well, of course not, because she hasn't been on the campaign trail as long as Trump. So she has to catch up and focus on the campaign trail, because that's the best way to reach out to people. And she knows it, and you know it. And then the weak complaints you were making after the debate yesterday, when you were talking about, it was a conspiracy. It was 3 against 1. No, Trump opened himself up to all kinds of questions, and he failed to contain his massive ego, his inferiority complex. He failed to answer questions repeatedly, even though he was given multiple chances, just like in the CNN debate with Biden. Harris, most of the time, when she was criticized with a question probing into something, responded. Trump did not. And when he did try, he didn't really have an answer. He just kept on attacking Harris. So it wasn't a gang up of the moderators and Harris against Trump. It was Trump ganging up on himself, undermining himself. You might as well call him a sapper or a saboteur, because he screwed himself over, just like during the debate with Biden. He was so busy assuaging his ego by attacking Harris after she attacked him, with valid complaints, mind you, that he failed and left himself open to criticism. Not even by the moderators, but by the viewers, like me, like many of you, who were actually paying attention, and instead of waving a flag, were saying, ooh, ouch, ooh, good one. I fact-checked. Biden has had a strong economy. He's done a lot of things right. Trump tried to pin any mistake by by Biden on Harris. He tried to say Harris is Biden. History has amply demonstrated that a VP lives in the shadow of and answers to the president. So no, Harris is not Biden. She is cast in the role of a subordinate, just like every VP before her. The only difference is historically, you would get two different parties in the position of president and vice president. Yeah, sometimes. And now, for as long as I've been alive at least, it's always been one party. I suggest you vote for the person who has the maturity, the integrity, the honesty to lead our nation. And based on what I've seen since Trump originally started campaigning back over almost a decade ago, it's not him. Based on things he's stated like, in 4 years you won't have to vote anymore, when he was speaking to a Christian coalition. And I want to be a dictator for a day. And I don't care about you, I want your votes. And other things that he said, many other things he said, where he has been dishonest. I don't believe Trump is anything but a disaster for us and for the people that are voting for him. That is my honest opinion. I believe that he is saying what he knows people want to hear. And it's very easy because we've got Cambridge Analytica, which is a PSYOPs company that is based in Britain, but it is a renamed version of the one that's in Britain. And he's backed by Robert Mercer, who is an ultra-conservative, who has been swinging votes for a long time now. And Steve Bannon was Robert Mercer's right-hand man. Mercer owns Breitbart, which is a false news organization. It's kind of like a tabloid, but with media. And he owns Glittering Steel, which was Steve Bannon's project. And look, if you're going to vote for Trump, okay. But I guarantee you, for those of you who are good people, who are kind people, you will end up either having to delude yourself like many have had to when they have chosen a very bad candidate for the leadership, or you will become disenchanted and you will see what you have wrought and you will cry. You will despair. I firmly believe that. Vote for Trump? I don't think that's a good idea. Vote for Harris? Could be. I don't know enough about her. Vote for Jill Stein? I think she's a good choice. I don't think there's any point in voting for the Tea Party or the Libertarians. They're just another brand of Republican. But if you're a Republican, you should look at those two candidates. Or maybe you vote socialist. I don't know. It's up to you. All I can tell you is that the debate for Trump was a debacle, an utter and almost complete failure. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.
Hi, thank you for watching my video, and I hate doing this, but things have gotten pretty sketchy with my employer, and without going into all the details, which I have covered at other times, at least in part, I need some financial assistance. If you have the opportunity to do so, that's great. If you don't, even if you can just put in a word of support in the comments, that helps. To have even just that is good. But financially, I need to be able to carry on doing what I'm doing with these channels. Not so much this channel, not so much the Eclectician channel, which is mostly just me learning about stuff and sharing it with you, but with my Glenn's Fast Reviews channel, where most of what you see that I review, I've purchased myself, or I've gotten at a food pantry, or somebody gave to me because they know I do reviews. But I have invested huge amounts of money in it. And at this point, with a little over 1,800 viewers, I'm earning maybe $125 a month, which doesn't cover the cost of what I've done, let alone the ongoing cost. And then even worse than that is my third channel that's the PC Expert Amateur, which I have invested a large sum of money that I should have been saving for my retirement, because I wanted to be able to present a lot of information about fans and air coolers and water coolers for computers and other things as well. And in order to do that, I had two choices. I either had to make deals with manufacturers and sell my soul, or stick to my ethics and pay for things myself in order to not be beholden to somebody and not feel like, oh, I owe them. So yeah, it's pretty costly, and with the situation with my employer, Amazon, in which the workers' compensation company Sedgwick refuses to fix my shoulder, which was injured at work over a period of months last year because Amazon's management refused to abide by their own policies to provide me support. I may end up having to pay for the surgery myself with the help of my insurance, and that will still be very expensive. And then I would be out of work for at least a month. So switching to another job, it would be hard, because if I come to you and I say, hey, I want to work for you, and you're like really interested in me, and then I say, oh, by the way, in the near future, I'm going to be having a shoulder replacement, so I will probably be out of work for a month. You're probably going to say, I'll pass, thanks, though. Which would actually be illegal, and you won't tell me that's why you're not choosing me. But, you know, it is a problem, especially with me being as old as I am. I'm almost 58. So if you could please, if you can either go to the my YouTube channel, Glenn's Fast Reviews, and you can make any kind of a donation on there, any size, any time you want, through that, because that's my monetized channel. Or you can go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/Glenn M.I. That's GLENNMII. And you can make a recurring donation. The smallest one I have on there right now is $10. If that's too big for you to give on a monthly basis, let me know. I can always add a smaller one than that. I just need to know. But again, if you are financially strapped, please don't send me money. I don't want somebody else getting into trouble financially just to help me. That would weigh very heavily on my conscience. So, thanks again for watching this video, and let's make the world a better place.